everyone, and welcome back to my channel Gabbabetic, and welcome to my little endo appointment catch-up video vlog. I'm filming this just before I go to my endocrinologist appointment. So type 1 diabetic, if you're new here, for 16 years as of when this comes out. My diversity is in July. So I used MDI for nearly 16 years and I've been on the pump for about 2 months now. So it's time to go to the endo and see how things are going. I think things are going really well with the Medtronic 780G pump. My time in range definitely looks better. Yeah, just a little catch up vlog with you now. I hope you enjoy. If you do, please give it a big thumbs up, comment down below and subscribe if you're new to the channel. Little pump recap. So here we are. The Medtronic 780G, blood sugar 7.6, really good. Time in range is a bit lower than usual today, actually 75%. Normally I'm in like the 80s or 90s, but I don't know, whatever today is going on. Basically, I'm catching up with you now because I'm going for blood tests in the morning. I'm going for hematology, immunopathology, and clinical biochemistry. So I wanted to, I don't know what people do in other countries. So in Ireland anyway, if you're diabetic, you have a long-term illness card, which means that all of your type 1 diabetes medication is completely free. The pump is free. We're very lucky. Any other medication, like if you got sick and you needed antibiotics, isn't free. Like you have to pay for that, but it's not as expensive as other countries anyway. But all of the diabetes stuff is. And also you're entitled, so there's public and private healthcare. The public healthcare is a pretty long waiting list at the moment, not gonna lie. So a lot of people go privately. So I am on private healthcare to see the endocrinologist, and I'm really lucky. This means I get to see him every 6 months. I think if you were on public, you'd have to wait like at least every year, and it seems to be longer, like every 2 years to see an endocrinologist. So that's why I go private. And in saying that, the cost of going private, like I'll have to pay for this appointment. It's only €100, so it's not the worst. And it's only €100 every 6 months as well. So, you know, I can't really complain compared to how it is in other countries. It's pretty good. So anyway, the way things work is I'm going to see him in the middle of July. It's the end of June now, so I need to get my blood tests done. So I go to the diabetes clinic and I get the blood test that I just mentioned to you. So he gave me these last time I went to him, and you have to hold on to them for 6 months. So it's like really important not to lose them. So I'll just read out to you. So for the hematology tests, it says here what he wants to check is FBC and HbA1c. I will have to look up what FBC is. I don't think that's iron, but no, because iron is there as well. So it's definitely HbA1c, and it's a blood test. So that's the first test. I'm gonna look up FBC. I just actually looked it up. I asked Google there. So FBC means full blood count. So I guess he's checking everything in terms of the hematology. And then we're gonna look at the clinical biochemistry test. This one says that it's gonna be biochemistry, and it's going to be stuff like lipid profile, renal profile, that kind of things. So that, I guess that's that. I don't know if I have to bring a urine test. I actually can't remember. And I don't have anything to bring, so I have no jar. Like, what am I supposed to do? And then the last one, which I normally don't get, this one is immunopathology. And honestly, I normally don't ever have this, but it says here that he's asking for a celiac screen. So if you know my channel, you know that I'm celiac, and I've been diagnosed celiac since I was diagnosed diabetic, so 16 years. So I don't really know why I'm getting a celiac screen. I never have had one before in the 16 years. Maybe he was going to check the gluten-free diet is working, but like the gluten-free diet I've been on for very strict, like my whole life, basically half my life. So I would be very surprised if it wasn't working. So anyway, they're the tests that I'm going there to get in the morning. So the plan is I'll get up, I'll see what my blood sugar is. I have been kind of going a bit low in the morning, so I'm hoping to fast. The blood test is at 8 AM, so I shouldn't have to eat before, and I'll be able to come home because I'm working from home and have some breakfast then. It seems like I'm getting a lot of vials, so we'll see in the morning. And once we have the bloods done, I will wait, and then we'll go to the endocrinologist appointment and he'll give us all the results. Alright guys, blood tests are done, as you can see by the mark on my arm. I didn't need a urine test after all. Anyway, so she took 4 vials of blood. So it should be plenty for them to have a look at. So anyway, my actual blood sugar is 6 and I haven't had breakfast yet, so I'm gonna go home and do that, and I will catch up with you before the endocrinologist appointment. Time and range on the pump I think was 93, which is really good for the night. But anyway, I'm gonna go home and have some breakfast because it's like super early. It's like 8 a.m.
3 weeks later.
So getting ready to go to the endocrinologist this morning, and I have to change my pump before I go because I'm about to run out of insulin. So that's not ideal at 7 in the morning. Hello everyone, so I'm back from my endocrinologist appointment. Lana is here with me too. I didn't really get to talk to you earlier because I was in such a rush. I had to change my pump, fill it up, and I had to put on a new site, so I really had to get going. But I'm back and I have the best news ever. So honestly, I wasn't thinking there was going to be much change because I've been on the pump so like 2 months now, and I got my bloods done. The HbA1c before the pump was 50, he told me, and today the HbA1c is 46, which is the lowest I've ever had, and not something I ever thought I'd ever see one in the 40s. So like 2 months on the pump already, and my HbA1c has dropped from 50 to 46. That's incredible. And that just shows you, because basically I was missing a third of the whole day because every time I slept I would be high or go high, and now the pump is doing that for me, fixing it with the auto correction. So I'm so happy with the HbA1c. So we just chatted about that and about my change onto the pump and how I'm finding it and how I find the Guardian 4 compared to Dexcom, which I don't find it great, but we were talking about that. And like, it's a very short appointment. Honestly, it's about 15 minutes, but he was just giving me all my results. So for the first time ever as well, I actually got a celiac screen. So I'm going to read it out to you here. I never really ever have gotten that. Like, I was diagnosed in 2008 with diabetes and celiac disease, and I don't think I've ever had a celiac screen since. So basically for the celiac screen, they look at IgA anti-TTG, which I guess is the antibody that they're looking for in people who have celiac disease and are not on a gluten-free diet. They would have a very strong response to this antibody. So if you were undiagnosed celiac and still eating gluten, you would have greater than 10, which would be positive for celiac disease. And what you want, and obviously if you were not celiac, you would have a negative result. And then for me, a person who is celiac but on a gluten-free diet, so basically they're checking that you're not being exposed to gluten and contaminated by like cross-contamination if you're sticking to the diet. So you want a negative result. So my IgA anti-TTG is 2.6 and less than 7 is a negative. So that shows you that I am doing really well on my gluten-free diet, which I never deviate from, like, intentionally. If I ever got gluten, it's been from other people in restaurants and cross-contamination. So I was really happy with that because I've never had a celiac screen. So it's interesting. And I asked him, like, why is this the first time? He's like, oh, I was just doing full bloods and I decided I would put that down too. And he was like, we won't probably do another one for another 2 or 3 years unless, you know, you were having symptoms, and we'd do one in the meantime then. But that's great news too. So the rest of what he gave me, we always get the blood test for next year, which I don't have a date yet because the secretary wasn't there. So I'll get my date for my next appointment in the post, which will be in 6 months. And then I have to organise a blood test 2 weeks before whatever that date is. Usually it's always July and January, so I'll probably get my blood test done around Christmas because it's always like the start of January. So it's all ready for next year, just waiting for the date. And then the other thing that I got, I actually got a really extensive blood count this time. So I haven't even had a look through it myself, but he would tell me if there was anything, you know, to flag. And I don't think I've talked about it on the channel before, but I think sometimes with diabetes there are issues with cholesterol, and I have had, my cholesterol has been like raised, not enough to be a dangerous level to be on a statin, but enough to be like flagging it. But this time my cholesterol was really good. So I'm not going to go through all the results, but I am doing way better. And I hope that's to do with exercise. I hope that's to do with exercise and diet change, trying to eat less crap and eat more of the good cholesterol. I hope that's to do with that. And then the other thing, I don't think I mentioned this in my video before. So when I was getting my pump, they were obviously doing blood tests to check everything was okay. And I was really vitamin D deficient. Now, that's not uncommon. First of all, I live in Ireland, there's like no sun. So that's that. And then second of all, when you're celiac, you can be lacking in nutrients, especially vitamin D, and B12. Now my B12 is fine, but in the past I have had B12 injections, but my vitamin D was really, really low. So I was put on a prescribed amount of vitamin D. I think it was 800 mgs per day. I don't know the unit, but 800 per day, which is a lot, and that's why it was on prescription. And then anyway, they checked the vitamin D. So it says vitamin D, for reference, less than 25. I'm not going to say the units because I'm just not going to say them every time. Less than 25 would be deficient. And now mine, this is with taking the vitamin D prescribed tablet. My vitamin D level is 64, which it says 50 to 75 is adequate. So I'm in the adequate. I'm not in the optimal. The optimal is over 75, even with a prescribed amount. But he did say that I can come off that huge amount of vitamin D and I can go on to like a non-prescribed dose, which you could get in like a health shop or the pharmacy. So I'm going to do that next week. I'm going to get that. I actually finished my vitamin D this week and I was going to get a new prescription, but I'm happy enough to do that. I like to do these little endocrinologist updates every 6 months because I just find them interesting. You know, last time I did this, I didn't have a pump. I don't know if I made a video. I think I made a video. Can't remember. I didn't have a pump and I was having potential issues with cholesterol. I don't think I said that in the video. But that's not uncommon for diabetics. And I was trying to get a pump and the HbA1c was good. It was 50 at the time. But can you believe that? 46! Like that's shocking. I'm really hoping the next 6 months on the pump will be really good. We'll find out in the new year. And I'm hoping that I'll stay at that. And if I got even better than that, that would be incredible. But yeah, so I hope you find this video useful. And one thing I will say is, so I'm in a Cork diabetes support group and I used to hate, even though I had a good HbA1c, I used to absolutely hate when people post into the group chat and say, oh, my HbA1c is like 43 or 40, and I'd be like, and they'd be on pumps and I'd be like, I'd get so upset because I'd be trying my hardest on pens and I could never reach HbA1cs like them. And I honestly didn't know how the hell they were doing it, to be honest. And that's why I've shared this result that I got today with my family and one of my friends who is diabetic from the group, but I'm not going to post it in the group because I just feel like sometimes it's great news and we should be happy for people who have really, really good HbA1c, of course, and time in range. But sometimes it can just make you feel a bit bad even when you're trying your absolute best and your HbA1c and time in range is not reflecting that, because diabetes is really hard. So I'm not going to share that value too much. And I just wanted to end on the video here to say, if your HbA1c is, you know, above what the target is and above mine, honestly, like, you're trying your best. Diabetes is really hard. Do not feel bad. Do not let like my result of the 46 be making you feel bad. This has taken me absolutely years to get down to this. I'll just put in context. Before I had a CGM, my HbA1c was like 9%. I don't know what that is in the chart conversion anymore because it was in percentages when I was in the UK. But it's that was way higher than what it is now. So this has been like a journey from that point, getting a CGM, getting a pump, you know, all that has helped me. It might not work for someone else, but whatever your value is, you know, you should be proud of how much you're doing with your diabetes. If you're putting the work in, you should be really proud, and don't let my result make you feel any way bad. Everyone is different and it's taken me literally years to get to this point. And if I didn't have a pump for myself, I would never be in the 40s. So I just want to say that because I think that's important. And thank you so much for watching till the end of this video. I hope you enjoyed. If you did, please give it a big thumbs up, comment down below, and subscribe if you're new to the channel. Really, really hope you like the video, and I will see you next time.